Hey, welcome back. It's the movie club with friends. We're back. It's another week. Last week, real quick, the episode for 5 meters per second was sadly lost. So if you're confused, that's what happened. It's gone. So today's movie, this week's movie, is The Little Prince. The Little Prince. The Little Prince. It's a 2015 French movie based off of a children's book, I believe. So we'll let Johnny start us off talking about it and why you picked it and what you thought of it.
Sure. Okay. To clarify, it's not French. The original book was made by a French novelist in 1943, but this is just kind of a North American modernized style of the book.
See, I thought it was French because there are parts where you see writing and it's all in French.
Yeah, like the book is like the little book that they read is like French, so I thought so too. But I don't know.
Okay.
That's
I guess I
interesting.
didn't catch that. Huh. Let's see.
You could be totally right, and we could be totally wrong also.
Who knows? It's a mystery. Google can help.
Anyway, to start us off, the reason why I chose this movie, it really holds a close place in my heart with the style of animation with it. It's something that I've always loved with the type of movies that come out, and just with the still frame animation style blended with the 3D animation. They do a really good job merging the two of them, and I don't see it done in a lot of different movies, so that's kind of why it intrigued me and really makes me connect with this movie a little bit better. And two, I think the overall story is, one, easy to understand because obviously it's a kids movie, but it's just it has such a poetic flow to the whole movie, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna give the movie a 9 and a loved because it's obviously one of my favorite movies of all time.
Wow.
And then let's see. I guess to just talk about it, it really throws you into, when you first start out watching the movie, you really kind of don't expect a lot from it at first when you first see the animation, because at least for me it was so blocky and rigid, and I just felt like this was kind of a half-assed B movie to start with.
Yeah.
But then as it progresses, it wanted you to see that first to show the contrast of how much the adult world has changed compared to what a child's imagination is. And you can really...
That was so beautifully done, and I don't know if I would have noticed that unless you would have mentioned it, in all honesty. Much.
Yeah, when the very first part, whenever it's that bird's eye view of the city or the town,
yeah,
it replicates a hard drive of some sort, or a computer kind of software, and it just it looks like we're just tiny ants kind of working in just a pattern.
I thought it looked like a motherboard.
A motherboard, yeah. Sorry.
I was wondering why the neighborhood was so weirdly laid out.
Yeah.
Because if it was something else that was trying to kind of get the same point across, it'd just be straight lines kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, you can definitely tell with their modern houses how blocky everything is, and then the contrasting fluid movement of the guy's house, and anything in his yard, there's nothing organized about it. And so I just simply love that fact of the contrast there. And then they bring in the Little Prince into the second plot, I guess. So I guess there's two different movies going on at the same time, if you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I think they just beautifully do that and merge the two together, and
it kind of really seems that there's like 2 chapters to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
it does seem like that there's 2 movies going on at one time. I think that like they do it so well, and then like how they intertwine them at the end. It's just awesome.
Kind of like what you were saying, or like we were talking about before we started recording, Johnny. That the books don't have like the main character, like the little girl in it at all. The books are just about the little prince and his adventures. So when they made this movie, you said that diehard fans were upset that it's not just a movie about the little prince. It has like these other characters, and he is a story within this world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll let somebody else talk, but I could keep going about it.
Okay. Well, if you want to chime in. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. I always just love how like design focused like Johnny is. He's so different from our other perspectives in the group, in my opinion. Like he's just more focused on that.
Like quick little, I don't know, not lore, whatever. I work for a company, and I sent Johnny, who's never ate at one of the restaurants that I work for, one of our advertisements, and just from the advertisement, he like nailed everything that like they try to like show that they are, and it was crazy. You blew my mind, dude. So I guess I always go second. So I give this an 8. And I don't want to say I loved it because it's not in my top 10. But it's a close to a loved. I really liked it a lot. I went into the movie like when last week when you said, "Oh, my pick is The Little Prince," I looked it up a little bit and I was like, "Oh, a kids movie. I don't like that shit. I'm not like these guys, I don't like The Lion King and stuff, But I sat down and I watched it and I really liked it. And I think one of the reasons why I really liked it was it had a message that was different from really anything else I've seen in a kids movie, which was getting over death.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, I don't know. It really just kind of hit me in a certain way. Yes, laugh at my pain, Julie.
It's just like it hit me in a certain way that
I don't know.
Death hits me.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, if I saw this movie like 10 years ago, I'd probably be obsessed with it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
you were an angsty teenager.
I'm older now, and whatever. I'm over it. But so, I really liked it. It had some really weird lines that kind of just really stuck out with me. And one thing the Rose says, sorry, I burped a little. When he's first talking to his Rose, she says, like, "I'm as old as the sun itself," or something like that. And, like, I don't know, I was like, that's fucking metal as hell, man.
The relationship between the prince and the Rose is so weird.
It is weird, because I don't think they loved each other, but it was such a small part of the movie. And then... Right, okay, so let's talk about the Rose, because he comes back after, like, the end of the movie, and you think it's going to be, like, this, them being reunited, but earlier in the movie, the pilot said, like, oh, it was more of a story of, like, him returning to her or something, and I kind of thought that, like, he had already done that, but then it never happened, and I was like, that's really cool, and then they show up, and she's dead. Spoilers. And
after I spoiled it, I'll have spoilers.
But yeah, and it was really fucking cool. It is just a movie about accepting that, like, people are gonna die. There's nothing you can do about it. The animation, real quick. I think I've talked long enough, but I thought it was kind of like what you said. Going into it, I thought it was gonna just be really shitty, like some pumped out Netflix special thing. But it was really charming. Like even in the beginning, I thought like the stuff her and the mother doing together was adorable. Like how she was kind of like imitating her. Yeah. I think the main character herself, I don't think she has a name.
No,
she was great. The little girl, yeah. She was like the best part of the whole movie. Like she was great. But yeah, we'll hear from Garrett.
That's not my name. But I feel like I'd give it the exact same rating as Mike, based on like the same reasons as Mike. I give it an 8 liked, and the only reason I'm not going loved is because it's not one of my top 10, but I really enjoyed the movie.
God, you guys are so not loose with loved. Like so
but
not. Like
loved,
I'm like I love everything.
But love is saved for your favorite movies.
Yeah.
Aww.
So yeah, so I give it an 8 liked. And just starting at the beginning, I really enjoyed just like the color contrast. I know Johnny already talked about this, but like just the gray neutral colors of like the school and the house, and even her clothes, like she's wearing, it's just like boring colors. And then, you know, she goes and meets the aviator and everything's all bright and joyful and just nice. But again, there's also the order and chaos that goes with the two contrasts as well. And then what happens next? I kind of lost my train of thought because I was just listening, and now I forgot what I was going to talk about.
I thought the little fox toy was like the cutest thing ever.
Oh my god,
it was.
So
it was
cute.
amazing.
That's like the thing that made Gabe like laugh the most.
It was
Gabe
so
was
great.
like
Whenever everyone was stomping on the foots.
yeah. It just squeaks and does nothing.
Yeah,
Gabe is just like nodding, like yeah, that was like.
Another part I liked is like just I enjoyed aesthetically was whenever the mom ripped apart the papers, and then the little girl taped them all together, and whenever they go back to that art style, whenever he's in the desert, it shows the tape all across the desert, like they'd just been taped together again. And then whenever you see Mr. Prince, it is sad. I agree with Mike. Whenever you find out that, you know, he didn't meet his Rose, he's been he lost. See, I don't know. I think of this as like imagination. Like you lose your imagination, you lose your sense of childhood, your sense of wonder and awe, and that's what turns you into one of those drones that was on that planet with the businessman. So yeah, you just become this boring person. But the little prince still had that glimmer of hope. He wasn't wearing gray clothes. He was still wearing his green outfit. He didn't have like the normal black gray hair. You know, he still had his blonde hair. So there was still that, you know, glimmer of hope that, you know, he wasn't like everyone else. And also he was failing in all of his jobs. So another way he wasn't like everyone else. But yeah, it's just a good story about, you know, maintaining a sense of childhood, a sense of like wonder and awe, and not just going on in life living to work, you know. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it.
It's funny.
Quickly, I forgot a point I was going to say. I'm starting to really appreciate the French and their storytelling. There's a French cartoon called Wakfu that is just fucking amazing. And like this was like, as for a kids movie, is amazing. And I don't know how to explain it, but just kind of like the way they talked and these little points they were trying to make, or like the solutions to their problems, are just so different from everything that I've ever seen before. And the one that comes to mind is when he's trying to, at the beginning of the movie, when he's trying to draw the sheep, and he's like, oh, this is too old, this is too frail, or this is a ram. And he draws this box, and the kid's just like, that's what I was looking for. Like, you don't see that, and I don't think you really see that in any other kind of writing. Like, I don't know why that stuck out with me, but it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just really interesting. But yeah, Julie, you're up next.
Awesome. It's so funny. So I think I agree with you guys that I do think that the movie is about like making sure you always have that child inside of you. But I think the thing that resonated the most with me about this, because like yes, that there's there's like major death elements part of here, but the thing is all about balance. Like for me, like that's the hard part, is because you can't, like, not everyone, you can't sustain your life by being the crazy aviator. Like that's just not, like, I mean, like not everyone can. I mean, like I'm sure there are plenty of people who have like, live their life like the aviator, and that's awesome. But I think at the end, like it's a coming of age movie, but it's also so much about balance as an adult. Like at the end, you see spoilers, like you see the mom, you know, like, and she all of a sudden, you know, like she still has her hair in a ponytail, like she still has her hair up, but she's wearing like more casual clothes and she's spending time with her daughter. And at the end of the day, like I don't think the mom isn't going to be completely like let loose. Like she still has a job to do, she still has to be responsible, but you still have to have balance. And I think this movie is one of my favorite movies now. Like I loved this movie. I give it a 9. Like this is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. I think, like, for me, like, that's something I personally struggle with, though. I struggle with the balance of work and play sometimes. Like, sometimes I work too much. Like, I don't know how to let loose at all. Like, I like the beginning part of the movie where, like, the mom is just like, we need to do this. Like, this is what we need to focus on. And she's working late and she's, like, so driven. And I'm just like, like, it gave me, like, I remembered, like, the anxiety that I had from work, like, that day, you know what I mean? Like, that earlier, because that's exactly like how I feel. So I think this movie is a lot about balance. I think this movie is so beautifully done. You already talked about like the graphics and the art style, so I won't talk about that again. But I think I'll talk a little bit about like, so it's understanding death, but it's more about like living your life before that death. You know what I mean? Like it's just like all of that. It's just like that balance thing. Yeah. I think the thing that really resonated with me was that whole scene with the snake and the little prince, and the little prince essentially committing suicide to go be with his rose, or like to go back to his world. Like, you guys, that was intense. How have we not talked about that yet? Like, that was like, I think when that was happening in the movie, like I just turned to Gabe and Garrett and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, this is happening right now. Like he's like, no, he's like, and he's just, the little prince is like so smart, like the way he says everything, and he has like these views on life that are just so, I don't know, like that, like I wish I could be him.
So
like
out there.
No, it's so out there. It's really, I mean, he's a philosopher on his own.
Okay, but
I mean, like when
when you talk about the snake, like when the snake's talking to him and the little prince is like, oh, I understand what you're saying to me, I was like, what? What? And then when he bit him, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But I was like, what the fuck? Like, he's stronger than a man, he can carry you? I was like, I don't know. Anyways, go on.
Well, and it's like, so, and I think the little prince, that he has like a quote in there, I can't find it, like, but I wish I could, but he's just like, don't be sad for me, like I'm just a vessel, you know, like this is just a vessel of my being, like you can't, like, don't be sad, like this isn't what you should be sad for. And I'm just like, what is this person, like how is he succumbing, like who wrote this, like this is amazing.
Well, the all those quotes that the kid is saying, it came out of the children's book.
I wish I would have read the children's book. I think that's one of my regrets.
The guy is a philosopher, from the guy who originally wrote this, and he is a philosopher, and he's a poet as well. And so it's just amazing how he can simplify such a intelligent kind of remark in just such a beautiful way, and then they adapt it into this as well, and then it's just
It's amazing. No, like
Yeah.
I think I have so many quotes. Well, it's just like the desert, all of the desert scenes is like really, I don't know, like they were all so beautiful. Whenever he looks at the aviator, the little prince, and is just like, what makes the desert beautiful? Is that somewhere it hides a well? And he's just like, what makes the stars beautiful? Is that somewhere there is a rose? And I'm just like, but it's true. Like, okay, like why do we love, like why do we love the things that we love? Is it because it has this person in it or this thing in it? Like this movie is amazing. And it's all, I think it's about balance. I think it's about appreciation for what you have. I mean, it's just like the same thing, like the mom regretted all of a sudden, like spending all that time at work. And they touched on the little girl's dad saying like, oh, you're becoming just like him. You're becoming like him. Like, and will you disappear too one day? And it's about learn, like the development, personal growth, balance, and appreciation. It's a beautiful freaking movie. Everyone should watch it. I think it's really good. I think if anything, it's so funny. I would even say that this movie isn't necessarily for children. Like I think that this is a movie for adults. Like
I think anyone could enjoy it.
Yeah, I think anyone can enjoy it, but I think that this movie will resonate with most working adults. Like I really do.
Simple enough for children, but deep enough for adults.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, that's all I have to say. It's a 9, one of my favorite movies of all time now. Thanks, Johnny. And I loved it. There you go.
Yeah, I really quickly talking about the aviator and like how he is the author, but then he's also like a character in the movie. And I'm assuming like I don't know if the aviator at all was based off of the guy and how he really was or anything. But I kind of like I like the idea that you don't really get the true backstory to the aviator, because there's the story that he's made up in his mind about the little prince and stuff. And I think this is just like what he did to cope with, like, I don't know, maybe working too hard and someone he loved died. So then he became more childish and
maybe it was the trauma of watching a child commit suicide in the desert in front of him.
But that stuff, that's all that stuff didn't happen. Like the little girl in her adventure where she flies off in the plane, like she was just like knocked out when she fell out of her window. I really believe that all the little prince stuff and all that stuff that doesn't actually exist. It's all like in their imagination.
What are you talking about? That tiny planet? Sure, that exists.
I don't know, but it doesn't exist.
It's an asteroid, guys.
It doesn't actually exist within this universe of the movie. But anyways, Jeff, you can talk.
Okay, so when I was a freshman in college, I actually read the book. I spent half the year dissecting this book with our professor and my other classmates. I wrote a bunch of different reports on it and whatnot. I'll definitely say the movie is quite different from the book, but the movie does, I would say, a fantastic job of taking important story elements from the book and incorporating majority of the ideas from the book into a coherent and just a fantastic overall movie, I would say. I do highly recommend reading the book, but I'll push that aside for now and I'll talk about the movie. To me, the movie was fantastic for many different reasons. For the first was, as John was saying, for its artistic values, and then the second for me was just the themes that were behind. There were so many themes were put into this movie, and they were done so very well. Like you guys were saying earlier, death was a big theme that they talked about. One thing that we haven't talked about yet was his encounter with the fox, and this was one of the main topics that they took from the book, and I thought they did a very good job on it. The fox, when he first met the fox was originally scared of him, but then the prince asked why, and he said, "Because you have not yet tamed me." Now, the theme of taming is a parallel to friendship. You know, at first they're strangers, but taming means to build a bond with each other, become friends with each other. And him and the fox, become friends. And the reason why they're sad at the end, he says, when they talked about what was it? Sometimes you'll have to make tears or something, or what was the quote? I can't remember the quote.
I can't remember.
Hold on.
That's such a good point, though, Jeff. So, like, while you're looking for it, like, God, this movie is about so many things.
It does have a lot of stuff
theme,
going in it.
Yeah, the theme. There's also a theme of friendship, you guys. Like, this
Yeah.
movie is about friendship and developing those bonds. And I don't know how much like the little girl and the aviator just loved each other as friendships, and the little fox, and I don't know, and the rose, and then I don't know. It's just so good.
I was gonna make a joke in the beginning about it being Stranger Danger the movie, but then it was just so cute that I didn't want to make that joke. But at the beginning, it's like, stay away from this crazy old man. Like, he is going to hurt you.
I actually do think that that's really unique. Having you don't really see like a lot of relationships. Like you always see like the little boy and the old man, or you'll see I've seen a lot of themes with a little boy becoming really good friends with an old lady, like an elderly lady. But I think this is like one of the first ones I can think of that it has a little girl and like an elderly man. So.
The quote was, "One runs the risk of weeping a little if one allows himself to be tamed." The girl said this at the end of the movie to the old man. One runs the risk of weeping a little if one allows himself to be tamed. Now, this means when you love someone and you get hurt, usually you get angry at yourself for letting them into your life, but you have to remember that's a risk that you have to take, and the movie stresses that it's a risk worth taking.
Jesus, I didn't even really. Oh my God.
Yeah, the fox is like, yeah, but there's like a million other foxes. Like, why me? And the kid's just like, because I want you to be my fox. And I was like, that's so like beautiful.
That's
like,
another point,
me, man.
The time that you spend. So the rose was a parallel also with the friendship. You know how he went to the fox's place and then there was roses everywhere, and he got confused and said, like, I thought my rose is the only one. She said that she was the only rose in the world. But then the fox explains that the time you spend with something is what makes it different and special. And that's, a parallel to friendship and loved ones. If an alien came to Earth, he would see all humans as the same thing, as the same person. But if he got to know one of them, then he would see that one person as different, as unique, as special. And I think that's what the rose is trying to parallel.
My God.
Because the kid...
You guys are so smart. I love my friends.
The kid and the rose, like, they're weird too, because, like, I really think they just didn't even like each other, but they loved each other because they only had each other on that planet for so long. And... it's just... it's so weird, man. It's so weird that this is in this movie.
There's a lot more to the rose and the sheep in the book. The movie doesn't. I was kind of disappointed a little bit with how they did the rose story. I would say it's different, but also the same as the book. And at the end of the book, the little prince is worried. One of the big points is the little prince is worried that his sheep is going to eat the rose. And that's a real big issue. Like when he finds the aviator in his crashed plane, he tells the aviator, I'm very worried that my sheep is going to eat my rose, and he's crying about that. But the aviator is like, what are you talking about? We got to fix my plane. I got to get out of here. This is life or death or whatever. But then later in the story, the aviator realizes how little his problem was in comparison to the little prince's.
Yeah. And that's even talking about we all have our own problems and they all affect us different ways.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Different varies of urgency or whatever you want to say.
And the last topic I want to bring up, sorry, I might be taking all the topics here. In the beginning of the movie, when like the very beginning when he's drawing the snake eating the elephant. That's just talking about how children and adults see things differently and value different things in life. But that's all. I'm going to leave up the rest of the conversation to someone else.
Okay. Do you want to go? Gab.
Oh, 8 and loved.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
It's weird that it's 8 and love. That's funny.
So I like the movie quite a bit. Probably not as much as everybody else. And I guess I'll be the one dissenting opinion in that way. But I'd probably give it a 6.5, and liked.
Gabe has no soul.
Gabe has no soul. Can't go into introspection.
Well, this whole time you guys have been talking about it, I was trying to like, why didn't I like it as much?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it was like a kids movie that I feel was trying to be too deep and had
Gabe's
too
the
many
businessman.
fucking small things in here. Or exactly what I enjoyed the most about it was the art style. That was wonderful. The whole movie, I really enjoyed that, and the fox, little stuffed fox was amazing.
So amazing.
Like there was some really opportune moments, like the stepping on the foot was the best part of the movie, for comedic value. But I don't know. Besides that, I'm trying to. I still can't really describe why I didn't like it more. Maybe it was because I was like, okay, this is a kids movie, and I didn't want to be thinking about all these different things and it going in all these different tangents. And sometimes the Little Prince would be a little too abstract, and like some of the worlds or what was happening exactly. That like if I wanted to really grasp it, I feel like I'd have to watch it, rewind it, make sure I listen to everything again, just to make sure I understand every little part of it.
Yeah, that's
on a deep level. So that was hard to get all in one go.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And that made it a little hard for me to like it more, I guess.
Okay.
Is that I feel like it was trying to be a little too deep in some areas, which would make sense because it was made by a philosopher / poet, or the book was.
Yeah, even with my background in the book, it was, I would say, difficult to follow along with how the pace of the movie.
Yeah, so that's probably my only strike against it. And the other thing, I guess, is that they're being way too polarizing against no homework. Homework's good for you.
Gabe is the fucking businessman.
Yeah, Gabe. I was gonna make a comment where, like, Gabe, you're more of like you're less of a artsy feely person than most of us.
His mom worked so hard on that life plan.
Yeah. Oh, you're breaking it. No, but and I think that's fair to say. Like, maybe that's why you just didn't like it as much as the rest of us.
Yeah.
So far, we don't know how Jared and Tanner feel.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. Jared probably's like, I didn't like it.
No, I get it. It had to be like, oh, the exact opposite of doing your homework is, being a kid and everything. I get it that they had to go that direction, but I felt like to the smallest degree it was a little too much. And at the very end, they had a good balance of it, which was nice.
Well, that's what I was saying, and so that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
it wasn't until the end.
She didn't.
That's what I said earlier.
At the end of the movie, it wasn't like she was like fully a fun-loving kid, and she was just gonna like live by her heart for whatever. I think she still went off to school and was very academic.
Being the child that she started the movie as, like already very mature in a lot of ways, just hadn't experienced a lot of things that normal kids get to experience. I thought it was, the whole movie was great development for her and everything. So
Yeah.
I think they showed the two extremes. First was study, and then fun, or imagination, whatever. And then it was the balance at the end.
Yeah. Too much fun, and then the real world caught back up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's really all I gotta say about it then.
I'm just gonna go back.
Whoa,
That's
you can't say the real world. That's what the movie is trying to fight against. The real world is both worlds.
No. Okay, no, but she did go back to the real world. But I think she just had she had a better understanding how to handle it or how to live in it.
The real world is what you make it, Mike.
I think we've watched different movies or something.
I think it's just different understanding.
No, and this is why I really like this movie is because there's so many lessons that like each of us have kind of individually attached to or
Yes.
took away from it.
Yeah, that's good.
Other than Gabe.
And
yeah.
it's really but Gabe understood it in his own mathematical businessman way.
Robot way.
Yeah. I'm starting to really appreciate it more. Like, there really is a lot going on. Jared, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, you talk now.
I don't have a ton to say. 8 liked to start off with. And a lot of what's I was probably going to say has been said. I mean, I like the movie. It was cute. Let's think of this for 1 second. I really liked how it kind of showed her. She had her whole very strict upbringing, sort of, with having how her whole life planned out for her, and just the old man kind of throwing a wrench in that, teaching her that there's more to it than just going to a good school and just becoming essential, I guess. I don't know. I'm a little tired, so I can't really focus my thoughts here. I just thought it was a really cute movie. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't go with love, but I definitely really liked it. A lot of lessons we learned, but you guys have pretty much already said all of them. So.
Also, can we talk about the part where the guy almost kills the little girl?
Yeah.
With the fucking, like,
Propeller
blade?
Yes.
She was fucking right next to it! What if she was in the house?
It would have been a very different movie. If she was at her board, it would have been a very different
mom
movie.
Brushes like, are you really okay? Okay, then we're just gonna forget about him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, she's grown up enough to take on the responsibility of getting everything settled for her house and all the insurance and everything, too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that little girl's
it
boss.
didn't faze her too much. And I think it, like what you were talking to us about, too, Jeff, about the taming of the fox with the little prince, it transitions exactly with the little girl and the old man. Like, at first, she's terrified of him.
Yeah.
And then slowly they become friends, and that bond
They
lasts
get
with one.
tamed.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man. That's crazy. So, Tanner, you get to be the closer.
Oh, I do have. Can I have?
We'll have a. I think we have more to say.
Okay, good. Okay.
I was going to say we can have a final discussion after Tanner because I think Johnny has more to say now, right? I have this feeling that he has.
Just go ahead, Julie.
Okay.
She's like, just go ahead.
Okay, it's like a super side note, but because we were just talking about the little girl and like how she almost got killed. Can we also talk about there's like this point where like when the little girl gets super mad at the aviator when when she finds out that the Rose and Little Prince never got to get together, and about how the little prince like died, like when she finds out about him essentially committing suicide, and she just gets so mad and she just like, you don't know if he's up there. How the hell, like that's just like she's like, I like to, like I want to believe that he's up there. Like you don't know he is. Like you have no idea. And I'm just like, I turned to Gabe. I'm like, look at this like little like atheist agnostic like little girl.
No, but this is the aviator's story, and the prince represents whoever died in his life. So like he doesn't want to tell her. He's just kind of like, oh well, but like in his mind he's like, no, like I wrote this story. They're dead. This person that I love died to me.
Introspection about who you are as a person, of what you believe. Do you believe in the good or the bad? Essentially, at least that's how it was in the book. That's what I got out about it in the book. It's about, you have to look inside yourself and you have to think to yourself, do I want to? I hate to pull it down. Do I want to be in a good mood or do I want to be in a bad mood? It's like when you get a negative thought, when you're angry at someone, think to yourself, why are you angry? Like, do you need to be angry? Should you be angry? Or can you think about it in a better way or something? You are in control of your own emotions, essentially. And believing that the prince is alive is believing that you are happy. It's choosing to be happy instead of choosing to be sad. It gives you the choice of either I choose to believe that him and the Rose are up there together and I'm happy, or I choose to believe that they are not together and I'm sad. And so it's a question about introspection and what kind of how you decide to live your life. That's what I see out of it.
But I see it as I guess that makes sense. But like the story is written, it's a completed story, and the prince dies at the end. And okay, she chooses not to believe in that, but I don't know.
But did he die or did his vessel die?
Well, now it's getting into like meta stuff because there's the story that is the storybook that was written.
Well,
where
that's what
where
we're
the
talking
prince
about,
where
yeah.
the prince dies at the end, but then the story continues on in her life with her like coma fever dream, and then accepting that the old man died. This prince, the adult prince that she goes to see later, I feel like that's her version of the little prince. That represents the old man to her, where the little prince in the desert, that's whoever the aviator was trying to like accept their their death. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I can kind of see what you're saying.
I don't know how else to
Anyway, Tanner.
yeah. I just think the character, the little prince, is a tool to get over death, and that essentially there are two different little princesses in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
His version and her version.
I would also say that he's more than just that. He's many things.
Okay, sure. I don't disagree with that. Anyways, yes, Tanner, let's hear what you had to say.
Okay, so I kind of had to watch it last minute since I got back from a wedding over the weekend. I've been busy, but so I kind of sped through it a little bit. I watched basically all of it, but there were some parts where I had to skip ahead a little bit. Otherwise, I would have missed being able to talk about it. I'd probably give it a 6 and a liked. I think all of what you're saying is all correct and everything. I just feel like it was very... I don't know how to put it. Like, it's like reading a book, and the book is like, yeah, look at all these great things, but it doesn't go in a lot to the great things. And like all the life lessons and stuff, other than like accepting death and how does these people deal with it? Like, for the old man, his son, I'm assuming it's his son, is the little prince, or not, maybe he's not his son, but his grandson, whatever,
Or
and the
childhood
grandson,
friend
his son.
or something.
I think it's his son.
Okay.
I think that's why
that
it's called Little
probably
Prince.
makes the most sense, yeah.
I think that's why he calls Little Prince, right? Because if you have a girl, it's a princess. If you're a boy, it's a prince. Yada yada. I think it's his son or his grandson, something. I don't know.
I never even thought about it.
Yeah,
being
that-
his child.
Tanner, you're just blowing my mind right there, and that just solidifies what I've been saying about it even more. Thank you.
Oh. I didn't realize y'all hadn't thought about it like that.
I didn't think about that at all.
But no, I assumed it was his son, and everything. But some of the other stuff, like, I don't know. I guess it just felt hollow. Like, not. I don't want to say hollow because that makes it sound bad.
Another businessman, you guys. I got him right here.
I think what
The movie is
Tanner-
very shallow with its ideas because it has to be.
Yeah.
Because it's a movie and it has to flow.
Well, no, because
I know,
I think
I'm
what
not
Tanner,
saying it
what you're
can't
trying to
flow.
say is that it didn't give enough time to each lesson it was trying to teach.
Yeah, like, so the way I'm looking at it is, if you have a book of children's stories, right? Every children's story has its own little its thing, right? Like its story.
It's moral.
And what? Yeah, it's moral of the story. That's what I feel like they just crammed a bunch of morals in, and like it didn't go into like one specific one, except maybe the death part. Like maybe like being able to accept death, but even that's not really like that much of a moral. I think that was a moral of the whole story.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to let go of something, otherwise it'll eat away at you or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe I just didn't want to see so much thrown into it. I don't know.
That's kind of how I felt as well. Is that they just threw a lot into the movie.
Because like what all you're saying, it's like, yeah, that's great, and like those are all what it's trying to do, but it doesn't really go into that so much. It's just kind of saying like, hey, look at this. Remember this kind of moral? Yeah, you like that, right? And then you think about it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. But that's
I think that's completely fair to say, honestly.
It is, but I think it's also because there was so much to take from the book, and they were trying. I think they were trying their best to take as much from the book as they possibly could. Like I said before, there's a lot of things that they didn't take from the book, but I do agree that the movie, although there's a lot of points that it makes, and it doesn't go into detail in almost any of them essentially, but I think that has to be done for a movie, whereas a book it can go into as much details at once.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying like, oh, I hate the movie because it doesn't do all that. I like the movie.
I'm not saying that. I was just kind of reaffirming your point.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it was all sped up, and I got the points it was trying to make and everything, and I can understand and I felt it, but I think overall I would have preferred a movie that maybe took like 3-ish morals and focused on them more than like 10, 20 morals and just been like kind of like here and there and kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I guess I like deeper
a better look.
Maybe deeper meaning. I'm not really sure how to put it behind, like farther than that, because it's not like they don't have deep meaning, I guess, but
more
coverage, depth.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Like I said, I just felt like they were throwing a lot at you, and for as much good lessons and morals that they were throwing at you, it was a little hard to keep up sometimes if you wanted to really think about it and absorb it and everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought.
And I think it all boils down back to the question she's originally asked, like, who do you want to be when you grow up? I think that's kind of how it boils down to. Because she didn't know who she wanted to be when she grew up. She was just going off what her mother told her. So the old man's basically teaching her, like, hey, you could be whatever you want to be. Look at all these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good about. Yeah. You guys, I'm so surprised. Like for the most part, like I think for the most part, it sounds like we liked it, but we all had really different ideas.
That's what's really like I love about it.
I liked the animation of the film itself. I'm not a big fan of the Little Prince animation stuff. I've never really been a big fan of like the I guess kind of like clay animation kind of stuff.
Stop motion.
It's not so much stop motion, but the way it looked. Because I don't mind stop motion. I just didn't like the way it looked, I guess. I don't know why. But that's always been something that I like. I'm kind of about. I don't know. I like seeing, I guess, crisper stuff. Anyway, I did like the movie. I thought some parts, like basically what it says, like I could probably go between a 7 and a 6. It wouldn't really matter that much, but I did like the movie.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very interesting. This is also interesting.
Yeah, I think I got, because like as we talked more, like more things came to my head because I always forget things I want to talk about. Never do complete notes. Does anyone have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
These conversations were almost as deep as the ones we had for 5 centimeters per second, which was
I'm sorry that episode was lost. I'm sorry.
I am surprised that you have not told us that episode was completely lost until we started filming.
No, I just didn't think editing just me and Jeff and then Johnny talking together would be fair to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So,
AKA, you lazy.
Hey, I'll upload it tonight. If you guys really want me to upload it, I'll upload it tonight.
No, please don't.
Okay.
We still got to announce what the next movie is going to be.
Yes. Final thing is, again, I just really love. Okay, sure, it didn't fully complete the morals of everything it was trying to get out, but I just really love that we all kind of thought separate ones affected us more, and that's the ones that we brought up or we talked about or that we liked the most. I really like it a lot for that. It's just
thought-provoking.
It is, and it's just there's just something for like everyone, no matter what distress or hardship you've had in your life, it kind of covers that. Dealing with, like, relationships and such. But anyways, this week was supposed to be Tanner's, but Tanner was MIA, so this week will now be Tanner's. I word things weird.
So I haven't really nailed down one movie. I have 3 that I'm looking at, and I kind of want to know, I guess, what has been seen and not, because
We've done
I
this
kind of want to
before.
see all of them. Yeah, we've done it with, I think Gabe was the one that had it before.
Yeah.
And we-
Gabe and Jeff.
Oh, okay. I wasn't here for Jeff's because I was out of town. But, so the 3 I was looking at were Les Miserables, the movie. Since I've seen the play, I kind of wanted to see how the movie was. I never really heard anything about it. I never heard how good it was or whatever. So I always thought it was kind of interesting. The play's really good. It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is The Green Mile. I've always heard great things. I've never seen it.
Oh my god, you've never seen The Green Mile?
I've
So
never seen
good.
The Green
I've never seen
Fuck.
it either.
I've
I
never
haven't
seen
either.
it.
Neither have I.
Fuck.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So what's the third movie, though? What's the third movie?
And the third movie is West Side Story.
Green Mile. Green Mile. Green
Green
Mile.
Green Mile.
I gotta vote.
Any of those.
Okay, so who's seen
You're
Les
supposed to
Mis?
chant with me.
So yeah, who's
I have seen Les Mis.
I've seen it also.
I have not seen Les Mis.
I have not seen any of them.
I have read all 1,000 pages of Les Mis.
Jeez.
That sounds like
So-
2 people have seen Les Mis.
I think.
And
so?
I've read and I've watched every single adaptation of Les Mis. I've literally seen like
So 3
60.
people.
So 3 people.
I've seen Green Mile.
Nope.
At the end of the day, it's Tanner's decision. Tanner. you
I
decide.
saw Green Mile before.
Well, he wants to know how many people have
but
seen
Yeah,
he
it.
wants to know how many
way
people there.
so long ago
I've
that I don't remember really any of it. I just know it was really good.
So how many is that for Green Mile?
I think 1.
All right, and West Side Story.
I have not seen that.
Wait, hold on.
Julie?
What is West Side Story? Let me-
It's about a Cuban, I think.
19.
Oh, is that the? Oh.
Yeah, I've
that's
seen.
what
I've
you said.
I've
Yeah.
definitely seen West Side Story. I know like all the words.
I
When
thought-
you're a jet, you're the jet. For the
Yeah, the Jets and the. What the?
and the
what's
what?
it?
And the what? The
Okay.
shark.
The Sharks. That's it.
Sharks. You haven't
like
seen
Green
fucking
Mile.
West Side Story.
Yeah.
I have. Saw it in high school in my English class.
So 2 for West Side Story,
West
3
Side.
for Les Mis, and 1 for Green Mile.
Think so.
I think
Either
it's-
way, I think you should just choose. I don't think it
Yeah,
matters.
no, I'm gonna
Okay.
choose. I'm trying to decide. West Side Story was kind of like one I scrolled on that I was interested in. I've never seen it again. I mean, I've never seen any of these movies, so I was curious on that one too because I know a lot of good things. But it sounds like enough people have seen it that, well, not so much that. So much it was the least of my like picks. I just picked it because I was like, maybe because I don't know if everyone has seen the other ones. Green Mile or Les Mis. Oh, that's tough. We can do Green
so-
Mile because
You've seen the play, you know.
I've seen the play.
You haven't seen Green Mile.
I haven't seen Green Mile. But I like Hugh Jackman in plays or in musicals and everything, and I do want to see Les Mis. And if I don't pick it here, I'm probably gonna pick it on the wraparound in a second. Either way, either this one or Green Mile, or someone else can pick Green Mile, whatever.
Awesome.
But I'm probably gonna go with Green Mile since it seems like that's the least seen and also the most positive.
You guys,
Yeah.
you have no idea how many times I've seen Green Mile. You all of you are in for it.
It's
Like,
good.
I've heard it's really good.
It's really good.
You have. Oh my god, this movie.
And it's
Has
a
to
movie
be
that
up.
will be able to spark a lot of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. For
Good.
sure.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we can rent The Green Mile on YouTube and Amazon Prime and Google Play for $2.99.
Wow, that
Wow.
sounds
So
like
if,
those
one
companies
of you-
should sponsor us.
Yeah, because until you
Oh, yeah, renting.
do.
I'm definitely gonna rent it from AmazonPrime.com.
You better speak well on Amazon. They will rule our world one day.
Oh yeah.
And Google. I'll rent from you too, Google. Anyway, please sponsor us.
All right.
Okay, everyone say bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Goodbye.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of Little Prince in the comments. We'll be back next week with Green Mile.
We love
Bye.
ya.